Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here, my next Pokemon Sun and Moon video. This one's going to be me talking about the recent trailer that just came out. It's, I suppose, the second batch of information they released for Sun and Moon. This one was primarily giving us details on the two legendary Pokemon. We got their names, special abilities, typing, and signature attacks, plus their other stats and a little bit of kind of backstory on them. And then they just touched a little bit on stuff like the new pokedex, and also just confirming that the region is indeed made up of islands. Personally, I was a little disappointed with this batch of information. I think purely because we didn't get to see one new Pokemon. That's, I think, what I was most excited for with this new information, to see new Pokemon, even if that was just like the evolved forms of the starters. Like, I thought it would have been cool to like reveal the second stage evolution of the starters like this time around, and then like at E3 reveal the final form of the starters or something like that. The other thing I was potentially excited for would be to see if they revealed any new Mega Evolutions, or confirm whether or not they're going for something along the lines of Synchro Evolution like they're kind of doing in the Pokemon anime, but we're not fully sure. But anyway, let's actually talk about what was revealed in this trailer rather than what wasn't. So yeah, we get the names of the legendaries, and the one on the front of the Sun box is Solgaleo, Solgaleo. Not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but any Pokemon names usually are pronounced fairly weird. Anyway, Solgaleo, Solgaleo or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, the Sun Pokemon, Sunne. That's interesting. Height 11 foot 2, weight 507.1 pounds. Type Psychic Steel. Ability Full Metal body, and signature attack is a Sun Steel Strike. So no fire typing here. In fact, the Sun Pokemon is weak to fire. Okay. But anyway, the description we get here on the Pokemon website, I actually think the website information for this, around this trailer, is much better than the trailer itself. It says, since ancient times, Solgaleo has been honored as the emissary of the sun. It is referred to with reverence as the beast that devours the sun. Solgaleo's body holds a vast amount of energy, and it shines with light when it is active. It has a flowing mane with a remarkable resemblance to the sun. Its signature move is Sunsteel Strike, an attack that charges at an opponent with the force of a meteor, disregarding the target's ability. Solgaleo's ability is Full Metal Body, a new ability that no previous Pokemon has. With the Full Metal Body ability, a Pokemon's stats will not be lowered by the effects of an opponent's moves or abilities. So, just this idea about the beast that devours the sun. Seems a bit weird that a steel Pokemon is potentially devouring a sun, but who knows what that's really about. Holding a vast amount of energy, and it's psychic. The psychic to me makes sense given the kind of mystical moon and sun duality they seem to be going for, and the fact that it can change the way its kind of eye face area looks. Wasn't expecting steel at all. To me, nothing from this Pokemon really gets steel across all that much, but I'm sure there's something about this that will mean something. The ability, they say no Pokemon has had this ability before, and yes, that's correct. No other Pokemon has Full Metal Body as its ability. But there are other Pokemon who have the exact same ability in terms of what it does. It's just called Clear Body. That's like Clicklang's, one of Clicklang's potential ability. We've seen this exact thing before. That basically it's an ability that stops stat drops and stuff like that. So that's weird. Like, that they felt the need to give it a special ability that, as far as we were aware, doesn't really do anything different than anything else. The ability Sunsteel Strike, attack force of a meteor, disregarding the target's ability. I assume this is just. I assume this just is how it interacts with a couple of abilities that other Pokemon have that potentially change the way certain attacks work. I suppose the main thing would be that for Solgaleo, it actually disregards Lunala's ability, as I'll get into just now in a second. Okay, so let me just switch over to Lunala. Yeah, that just for me with Solgaleo, it's just really weird that there's no fire typing involved there. I'm definitely interested to see the explanation for what that's about. But Lunala, category the Moon Pokemon, Moone, Moon with an E on the end. Height 13.1, weight 264.6. Type Psychic Ghost, ability Shadow Shield, and special ability Moongeist Beam. Since ancient times, Lunala has been honored as the emissary of the moon, is referred to with reverence as the beast that calls the moon. Lunala is constantly absorbing light and converting it into energy. With its wings spread to absorb the surrounding light and glittering like a crescent moon, it resembles a beautiful night sky. Lunala's signature Moongeist Beam attack releases an ominous beam of light that disregards the target's ability. Lunala's ability is Shadow Shield, a new ability that no previous Pokemon has had. With the Shadow Shield ability, a Pokemon will take less damage from an attack that lands when the Pokemon has full HP. Once again, the idea, the beast that calls the moon, the other one is the beast that devours the sun. So, calling the moon, devouring the sun, that's interesting. And then this one seems to make somewhat sense in that, like, it absorbs light and then uses that to kind of give it energy and attack. So it makes sense that it's 4 times weak to darkness, because obviously it likes the light. The moon, darkness, the moonlight is a form of light, and so on. That makes somewhat sense. But devouring the sun, weak to fire, not fire type, it's very weird. Ability Shadow Shield. No previous Pokemon has had. Again, it's the exact same thing. It's basically multi-scale for a different Pokemon. That's obviously move like Dragonite can get that move. Multi-scale. It's basically just the first attack. If you have full health and you take damage, you take less than you would have because you started with full health. This is the exact same thing. It's just, I suppose, to fit in with the theme of this Pokemon, having multi-scale on a bat doesn't make much sense. I suppose it's the exact same thing as Blaze, Torrent, and Overgrow for the starter Pokemon. They all have that ability. It's basically the same thing, just to fit better in with the theme, element of that Pokemon type. A signature move, Moongeist Beam, same thing as the other Pokemon, Solgaleos, disregards the target's ability. Now, that unless this also has a secondary effect of stat drops, I don't really see where the kind of duality is so much between their attacks and their abilities, in that Solgaleo's ability doesn't seem to have any effect on its Moongeist Beam because it just prevents stat drops. This doesn't mention the stat drop. Whereas Solgaleo's attack, also having that, disregards the target's ability, actually makes sense because that would disregard Lunala's Shadow Shield. So it would do full damage regardless of the fact that it has Shadow Shield. So that's interesting, but that's really about all there is on the legendaries. It's cool that we know this information now. I'd still probably side more with getting Sun, just because I prefer the design. And I think the typing, as much as it's weird for this Pokemon, I do actually like the Steel Psychic type. It seems really cool. But the other information revealed here is just that stuff, little things like, okay, the professor is Kukui. That is indeed the professor. It's not that other kind of larger guy that we saw in the previous trailer. No, it is Kukui. He has an assistant, and she is very mysterious, and that's about all they really say about her. Let me just find this information here on the website. We get better looks at like the male and female player characters and stuff like that. It makes the designs look a lot better that they're focusing on it here. Lily, Lillie, mysterious girl who assists the professor. This young girl is about the same age as your character, and she's working with Professor Kukui's assistant for personal reasons. She's not fond of making Pokemon fight in battles, but she loves reading and has devoured many books. She'll play an important role. So people are already speculating she may be the champion, but she doesn't like to make Pokemon fight. So what's that really about? I think it'd be interesting if she's one of your kind of rival characters that you don't battle that often, whereas how the actual friend character that everyone knew about from the previous trailer, he, I assume, will be the character you face a lot and beat fairly easily, but she'll be a lot tougher, knowing more about Pokemon in general and that sort of thing. And they show off a lot more of the region throughout this trailer as well. If you look at some of the Japanese videos that they put out, some of the areas look really cool. Like when you walk out onto the beach, the graphics I think really look amazing out on the beach. It doesn't it feels not just like the kind of it's better graphics for still a sprite based thing. It definitely feels like the control is kind of 360 rather than just like 8-way or anything like that. And we get a full look at the map of Alola, confirming that it is indeed islands. We have 4 natural islands and then 1 artificial island, and I think that's really cool. Um, exactly how you travel between them is going to be interesting. In that, can you just like where are the surfing areas in the game going to be? Is what I'm kind of questioning here. Do you surf between the islands? Is it not actually that kind of far away because it's a fairly the region is made up of islands, so the surfing distances won't be too much? Or do you actually have to like fly at like an airport or get a boat to each island or what? That's for me what's going to be interesting here, because it seems like each island has like a kind of closed off, kind of almost like coral reef type area that has some surfing locations. Um, so to me, it almost seems like you have enough water within each island that you don't really need to surf between the islands. But we're not fully sure just yet of the exact scale of this. But I think it's a cool idea because you like the starting island is going to have like maybe 2 or 3 gyms. Then you kind of go to this completely other island. It's got a different feel, theme to it. It's got like two gyms. Then you go to the next island. It's got another 2 gyms, and then like there's some event stuff and the last gym on the last island or something like that. And then I assume the man-made artificial island is probably where the Pokemon League is, and I think that's a really cool idea that it is more of an artificial technological type thing out there in the middle. And then there's a smaller island off the coast of one of the other islands as well, but we're not fully sure what that's really about. But I think the region looks cool. Like, it's hard to really speculate too much just by looking at the picture. We definitely have a snowy mountain area, a volcano area, a desert area, and it looks like some sort of a kind of pyramid-like tomb area. Looks like a dorm. There's almost also a kind of more rocky standard volcano that's not kind of I assume extinct volcano or something like that. Standard grassy area and stuff like that. So yeah, just it seems to cover a lot of the kind of typical bases of like areas from Pokemon, but because they're split up into islands, I think it's gonna have a very unique feel when we actually get around to playing it. Um, Final thing would be the new Pokedex. Let me just find where this is. Cool features. Yeah, the Rotom Pokedex is your ally on your journey. So yeah, this was weird. This really came out of nowhere. Somewhat makes sense, but at the same time, like, really, all new trainers in the Alola region are given a Rotom, not to use as a Pokemon, but just to have to make your Pokedex work effectively. That's really weird that they kind of do that with them, that they raise so many of these things just to put in a piece of technology. They do say, like they say here, like the Rotom Pokedex is an extremely rare device. There are only a few trainers that have one, even in the Alola region. So that confirms, okay, straight away, not everyone has one, but like I suppose that means there's somewhat of a story behind why you get one, but it is a known piece of technology. It's just rare, so it's going to be an interesting explanation behind why you, of all people, get one, while other people won't have one. Um, but yeah, it says it resides in it. It has its own personality. From the trailer, we know it can talk to you. I suppose it being in a kind of informational type device, it allows it to use the technology to translate its own kind of thoughts into English. So that's why you can understand it. Um, and obviously it turns into like a phone, so you can have conversations. So interesting but weird decision, but it seems fun. It fits in, I think, for sure. that technology feel. Other than that, that was, I think, pretty much it. The website does confirm another little piece of information. What is it? It is meet new Pokemon using the QR scanner. Now, this a lot. I know it's a lot of controversial reaction to this. People finding this out on the website. I haven't actually really read about it here, so I'll just kind of give you my kind of live reaction here. In Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, there's a QR scanner function that allows you to see information about Pokemon when you scan QR code patterns with a QR scanner. Oh, sorry, that was a full stop, not a comment. With the QR scanner, you scan in a QR code and check the information about the Pokemon that corresponds to that QR code. There are QR code patterns in various places all around you, so try scanning them. Register Pokemon in your Pokedex. By scanning in special QR code patterns, you can register Pokemon at the Alola region in your Pokedex and find out where they live. If you scan in a QR code for a Pokemon that you haven't yet caught, you can check its habitat and search it out. Share QR code patterns of Pokemon to... Okay, so this isn't actually too bad. It's not that you scan a QR code and can battle and catch that Pokemon. It just registers that Pokemon in your Pokedex. So you can then find out, based on the Pokedex, where its habitat is and look for it. Because I suppose that is potentially the problem, and it's going to save you looking up a lot of stuff. You can just go like, okay, where do I find a Pikachu? There's the Pikachu QR code. It's registered in my Pokedex. Oh, I have to go to this island to get my Pikachu. And I suppose it's not ideal in that it means the whole idea of completing your Pokedex is not going to be as big a thing as it was before in terms of just seeing every Pokemon, but catching every Pokemon is still going to be the big thing. Like, that's the difference here. This just registers all of the Pokemon in your Pokedex, and you still have to catch them. So that's fine. I thought that was going to be a really controversial thing, but it's not actually too bad. I think I think that's actually a pretty cool thing. You can share it with other people. That's cool. I suppose that'll come in pretty handy for just if you don't instantly have people to trade with for the version exclusive Pokemon. You can just scan the code and at least have it registered in your Pokedex, even if you don't have it. So that's fine. So yeah, the other news that came out as well is that we are going to be getting Pokemon Sun and Moon as well as Pokemon Go, but I don't really care about that game. Pokemon Sun and Moon information at E3, because the Treehouse stream that Nintendo are doing is not going to be just Zelda. They are going to be showing other games, and Pokemon Sun and Moon is going to be one of those games they talk about. So I assume that means that we're going to get some live gameplay of the game. So that could be a quite revealing thing in terms of a look at new Pokemon, look at how the game starts. It doesn't necessarily mean we'll see a lot of new stuff. It could just be the very first sections and we just get the new starters and maybe one or two new Pokemon. Maybe a new trailer. But I assume they were fairly light on this content reveal because they knew E3 was coming up, and since they're so light on games that they're showing, at least they want to focus on at E3, to me it makes sense that they'd hold back some big Pokemon news to reveal at E3. So I'm not too annoyed by this. The information that we did get here was fairly interesting. I think it helped answer a few questions after the first batch of information, but it didn't really reveal a ton of new stuff. So it's hard to really judge more than what we have already, because a lot of people obviously super analyzed the first trailer, and we basically got a lot of this information, these ideas ourselves, and this was just confirming it. I would have at least liked to have seen one new Pokemon revealed here, but it's fine. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this latest batch of Pokemon Sun and Moon information. And also, I suppose, some speculation on what do you think the big focus of E3 will be with regards to Pokemon Sun and Moon. Do you think they'll reveal new Pokemon? Or will it just be showing off the very start of the game, which we basically know the gist of just based off these trailers here. So, yeah. Other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.